chapter, we don't actually have any new physical characters. We do have 2 new mentions. And those mentions are Grindelwald, which, if you're new to the Harry Potter world, he comes up in the past in the Fantastic Beasts series, and he is a notable wizard for bad things, I guess.
He's a bad boy.
Yeah. And then we also have Nicholas Flamel. We've mentioned it before. His wife, Perenelle, and we'll discuss her more a little bit when I'm shouting out the chapter. That's it. Those are our characters.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and give the chapter summary?
I'll take you into it. This chapter is called Nicholas Flamel. And we finally find out. We talked about him a teeny tiny bit. We just mentioned him. And now we get to really find out way more information about him, and the plot thickens. So Harry starts off by having what we're going to call his signature nightmares, because this isn't the last, definitely not the last time that he gets woken up by screaming sounds and a giant green flash of light, and then a high-pitched cackle. This is his signature nightmares. It's important to note because they are extremely significant. I mean, a kid having nightmares, right?
Well, not just a kid having nightmares, but having a recurring nightmare that is exactly the same every single time is very significant for anybody, not just for, our new wizard.
If you feel like you're having recurring nightmares that are a little bit haunting, maybe you should talk to someone. Okay. PSA.
Wish you had a Dumbledore, but there are people out there.
Right. There are people out there that can help us with our own personal nightmares. All right. Then break is over because the rest of the time Harry did nothing significant. It was all, above board. And Hermione comes back and she hears about their adventures. Yeah, exploits. And Hermione is Hermione. She's like, what? You were out of bed 3 nights in a row? And you didn't find anything about Flamel? So she's both horrified and extremely frustrated with their lives.
Because she's Hermione.
They start giving up hope. And they're all kind of hanging out in the Gryffindor common room. And all of a sudden, Neville comes in. And he is hopping in. He stumbles into the Gryffindor common room, and he's hopping into the Gryffindor common room because someone has performed the leg locker curse on him.
It was Malfoy.
Yes, that's
so it's friggin' Malfoy.
Yeah, he's the problem. It's him.
He's a problem.
Yeah. So
and not in a cutesy Taylor Swift way. He's a problem for reals.
Yeah. So basically, Hermione is the only one to help Neville. Everyone else is just laughing. And where was he? Where do you think he was to the point of getting to the Gryffindor common room? And that entire time, nobody helped him.
I don't know. Did it say? Because
It doesn't say. He just stumbled into the Gryffindor common room. So, who knows?
He must have had to bunny hop all the way up to Gryffindor Tower, is all it says.
Yeah.
I mean, and they live in the tower, so that's up. anyway, like 7th floor or something.
Yeah. I think to be honest, this is the power of Malfoy and bullies in general, because if you help Neville, right, then if you're from another house other than Gryffindor also, this doesn't look good, right, for you. So you don't want to go against Draco and his little croonies. Anyway, he walks in and everyone is obviously kind of laughing at first, but also feeling sad for him. And Harry says, "You're worth 12 of Draco, Neville. You're worth 12 of him. Here, have a chocolate frog." And that's his way of trying to.
He was outside the library. It says it later. It says it later after, like, they talk and whatever, and then Hermione asks him what happened, and he says, "Malfoy, I met him outside the library." He said he'd been looking for someone to practice that on. So he had to come all the way from the library up to Gryffindor Tower, basically bunny hopping because his legs were locked together, because Malfoy's a POS.
That's too far. Anyway, so he's eating his chocolate frog and he looks at Harry and he says, "Oh, Harry, do you want your card? You collect them, right?" And Harry's like, "Oh, yeah, thanks." And he looks and he's like, "Oh, I got Dumbledore again, you know?" And he's like, whatever. And he's looking at it and he all of a sudden just like, "Oh my gosh, this is where I know Flamel from." And basically he says, "I found him," he whispered. "I found Flamel. I told you I'd read the name somewhere before. I read it on the train coming here." That was a long time.
Yeah, because Dumbledore was the first card he ever got, the first frog card he ever got.
Exactly.
On the train.
And it says that on the back of the card, on the front, there's always a picture, and on the back, there's always a description. And it says that Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the Dark Wizard Grindelwald in 1945, for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner, Nicholas Flamel. If you don't know, alchemy is like chemistry. Kind of, dealing with elements, dealing with science experiments and whatnot. But yeah, it just has a lot to do with the elements and kind of chemistry. So then Hermione gets a light bulb moment and she is like, "Okay, you just triggered it. Hold on." Goes upstairs, gets a fat book, and she goes, "I took this out for a bit of light reading." Yeah, Hermione being Hermione. And then it talks about Nicholas Flamel, and it talks about how he, let's see, he is the only known maker of the Sorcerer's Stone. What is the Sorcerer's Stone, Christina?
Well, Harry and Ron didn't know what it was either, and so, of course, Hermione gets flustered and says, "Oh, honestly, don't you two read? Look, read that there." And she pushed the book toward them, and Harry and Ron read. "The ancient study of alchemy is concerned with the making the Sorcerer's Stone, a legendary substance with astonishing powers. The stone will transform any metal into pure gold. It also produces the elixir of life, which will make the drinker immortal. There have been many reports of the Sorcerer's Stone over the centuries, but the only stone currently in existence belongs to Mr. Nicholas Flamel, the noted alchemist and opera lover. Mr. Flamel, who celebrated his 665th birthday last year, enjoys a quiet life in Devon with his wife, Perenelle, who's 658.
I don't know. if I could be that old, I don't think I would enjoy that. I'm not sure. All right. So all that time they figure out who Flamel is. They figure out that is what the dog is guarding. That's what Fluffy is guarding. He is guarding the Sorcerer's Stone. And one thing that I thought was absolutely hilarious. Let's see. So all this time they're trying to decide what they would do with the stone. They're just brainstorming. Man, if I had a stone that turned everything to gold, or if I had a stone that did this or that or whatever. Ron thought, you know what? I'm going to buy a Quidditch team. That's what I would do. And of course, that reminds Harry of his impending doom. The fact that the next Quidditch match is going to be Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff. And there's special guests this time around. For some reason, I don't know why. Why do you think this is? Because I don't think that they explicitly say that Snape is going to be the referee. Where is...
I'm looking because Wood tells them during practice.
Yes, Wood tells them during practice, but he doesn't specify as to why. They basically just all get upset over it. And I think, was it Fred falls off of his broom because they're all in shock. Like, what?
Snape's refereeing. When's he ever refereed a Quidditch match? He's not going to be fair.
Yeah.
Everybody landed next to him. It's not my fault. We've just got to make sure we play a clean game so Snape hasn't got an excuse to pick on us.
Right. But it doesn't really say.
It doesn't even tell. It doesn't.
No, but like, why would he be substituting, right?
I mean, I suppose there's any number of reasons. Madam Hooch could have been busy or sick or, something.
I suppose. So, Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff, Snape is refereeing. And everybody is, I wouldn't say beside themselves, but they're a little bit frustrated with that. And the match time comes. Harry has this horrible feeling that Snape can read minds, because before the match, Harry's walking around, right? And he knows at this point that the Sorcerer's Stone is being guarded by Fluffy, or he surmises that that's the case. And every time he sees Snape in the hallways, he has this horrible feeling, this sensation that Snape knows, that Snape can read minds. Interesting. And as the game approaches, one thing that I absolutely loved about this, and that it shows how their bond is growing, the Golden Trio's bond is growing. Harry doesn't even know that Hermione and Ron have been practicing the leg locker curse to use it on Snape should they need to. Look at how deep their loyalty goes, right? They're practicing to curse a teacher in the event something goes wrong. I love this. I find it adorable.
No, what's even funnier is it says Ron and Hermione, meanwhile, had found a place in the stands next to Neville, who couldn't understand why they looked so grim and worried, or why they had both brought their wands to the match.
Right. They're thinking something's going down, right? And like the most hilarious part is as they're walking up to the stands, Hermione is like whispering in Ron's ear, remember, it's this. And Ron's like, I know, stop nagging.
Uh-oh. Go.
Don't, he's our new co-host.
everybody, this is Stormy. She's a mini menace. She is a mini menace. Did you say hi to your Auntie Erica? Don't bite Mommy's microphone.
Yeah, don't eat the microphone, okay, Stormy? Is it night time? Are you do we take a nappy?
I wish you would.
Oh gosh, she's so cute. Okay. All right, so and the game begins. And everybody's prepared for the worst, but hoping for the best. Apparently, Hermione has all of her fingers crossed and shoved in her mouth. All of her fingers crossed and shoved in her mouth. Which I thought was fantastic and hilarious. Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle just so happened to be in the same section. I thought they did that separately, their own sections, but I guess you can sit wherever you want.
I mean, most people tend to sit with the rest of their houses, but, you know, it's Malfoy. And Crabbe and Goyle just go wherever Malfoy goes, so...
And they're just trying to stir the pot, basically, is what's happening.
Mm-hmm. So, and says, I didn't see you there. Like Ron doesn't have flaming red hair and you can't spot him anywhere.
Yeah, right? Like, oh, you're here. Oh, okay, interesting. So there's a lot of back and forth here at this moment. There's a lot of talking, a little kerfuffling between them. And the game starts and Harry's like, okay, if there's any moment that I need to catch this, like right away, it's now. And it's happening. And then all of a sudden, Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle, they just say the wrong things, you know, on purpose. But it gets to the point where they're like, you know, Ron's like, you know what? That's enough of it. He couldn't take it anymore. Ron and Neville, right? Because Neville's so cute, tries to stand up for himself and says, you know what, Malfoy? I'm worth 12 of you. So cute.
And Ron's like, you tell him, Neville.
So, okay, he is trying his best to stand up to him. I love that. He's getting his Gryffindor vibes on. He's trying to be brave and stand up to him, which is fantastic.
No.
What happened?
She always tries to bite my earrings.
Ah, I see. And then,
so Ron finally snaps.
He does, because he says, Longbottom, if brains were gold, well, this is Malfoy, you'd be poorer than Weasley, and that's saying something. And, you know, things start happening. He says again, you're in luck, Weasley. Potter's obviously spotted some money on the ground when he goes in for a dive. Ron snaps. The actual brawl begins.
He jumps over the seat and jumps on top of Malfoy.
Yes. Crabbe and Goyle, pretty much Crabbe and Goyle against Neville and Malfoy.
Yeah, but the best part about that is, so it says Ron snapped. Before Malfoy knew what was happening, Ron was on top of him, wrestling him to the ground. Neville hesitated, then clambered over the back of the seat to help. And later on, it says that Ron and Malfoy are going at it, and poor Neville ends up with 2 against 1, going against Crabbe and Goyle.
Exactly.
Sorry for the dog butt, people. She's so indecent.
It's just a dog butt. Relax, everyone. All right. Look at that little tail.
She's insane, bro. Like,
she's a happy girl. She's wagging her little tail back and forth. Is she sleeping up there or what?
No, she's being nosy. She's never been in here before.
A new place.
She's sniffing.
All the while this is happening, Harry takes a dive and catches the snitch. Literally in record time. So that's all happening, and it's like, congratulations, the game is over. Dumbledore was there, right? Dumbledore watched, which made Harry extremely relaxed. But Dumbledore comes up to him and he goes, I'm so glad to see that you're not worrying about that mirror, that you're actually focusing on other things.
Yep.
Yeah. So then everybody disperses. They all go back to their common rooms or whatever. And Harry's changing and, getting ready. And then he's got to put his broom away or whatnot. And all of a sudden, he sees some interesting, shady behavior. Snape skulking about the grounds very near the Forbidden Forest. And for some reason, of course, Harry decides he needs to investigate it because he thinks that he's, a 37-year-old member of the Ministry of Magic.
Even though he's only 11 and he's only known that he was a wizard for like 3 months.
And there he goes, hops on his broom, all super quiet, and just tries to follow from above, from the treetops. And
I'm Batman.
Yeah. And just so happens to find Snape cornering Quirrell, what looks like Snape cornering Quirrell, asking him, have you figured out how to get past the 3-headed dog yet? Did you figure out who's Hocus Pocus?
Oh, did you figure out how to get past Hagrid's dog? And what was your bit of hocus? Are you going to tell me what your little bit of Hocus Pocus is?
Okay, so what Quirrell's Hocus Pocus was.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So basically, Snape is pushing him, right? He's pressing to try to get that information out of him. And Quirrell's like, but I can't, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're looking for, right? And he says, you know perfectly well what I mean. You know what I want. And he says, all right, we'll have another chat soon when you've had time to think over and decide where your loyalties lie. Now, to Harry Potter, who is skulking about the treetops, looking in on this scene, that looks bad, right? It looks like Snape is putting the screws to Quirrell. And, Quirrell's already in a delicate state as it is. Quirrell being Quirrell and all. And so Harry rushes back to Gryffindor Tower, obviously to divulge all of this information to Ron and Hermione. And Hermione's like, where have you been? We're trying to party over here. And I wrote in my notes, one of Fred and George's signature bashes.
They stole some cakes and stuff from the kitchens.
As we get to find out, this is not the first time. Well, this is not the first time, and it definitely will not be the last time that Fred and George decide to party, right?
Fred and George throw the best Gryffindor common room parties.
Yeah, they're not. Are they illegal? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like, especially after they've, had a game and stuff like that. I remember one particular game. I don't remember which book it is or which game it was. But they kept on, partying, and McGonagall kept coming up telling them to go to bed.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're illegal. They just have to, go to bed at a decent time, stop making noise, and,
Does butterbeer get you drunk if you're a kid?
No, Butterbeer gets elves drunk because they're so little.
We will find that out soon.
The warm butterbeer supposedly does warm them up from the inside, but it doesn't like get them drunk. It just warms them. So that's why they drink the warm butterbeer. Yeah, that's why they drink the warm butterbeer when it's like cold and snowy. But then the other butterbeer is just in a bottle.
Okay, so they're not like partying. They're just having a good time partying.
No, I imagine butterbeer is like butterscotch soda, but it's magic.
Yes, and if you're curious to try it, they sell it at all parks, Wizarding World parks and Wizarding tours and things like that. And they do have different iterations. Actually, it was just Butterbeer Month or Butterbeer Festival, something like celebration of Butterbeer. And they have actually in your land, co-host, which is my former land, Los Angeles.
Out here in LA, where the Universal tram crashed yesterday and injured 14 people. Yeah.
Yeah, there. At that point. They actually closed was it Weasley's Wizard Wheezes or something like that? And they opened Florian Fortescue's ice cream shop.
Okay.
So
they probably closed Zonko's because they didn't have Weasley's. They had Zonko's.
Zonko's. I knew it was something joking.
Yeah.
Okay, so they closed Zonko's to put in Florian Fortescue's, and they have butterbeer flavored soft serve.
Oh, okay. Also, there are really good recipes if you go and Google on the internet. My kids used to make it at home all the time with cream soda, the butterscotch ice cream syrup, and whipped cream.
Yeah.
So
I think making it at home is way better.
Yeah, because you can do your own, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Proportions.
And sugar content.
Well, but that's what I mean by proportions. So you do your own proportions, but also like your own consistencies. Like they offer a liquid one that's cold. They offer a frozen one. They offer a warm one. So being able to do it at home, you can tweak it to your liking, sweet or not.
Yeah.
Use whatever kind of, because my kids were very particular about what kind of cream soda they wanted when they did it. Yes. Or if it wasn't A&W, the only other one they would accept was the I can't remember, but it comes in a bottle and it's like handcrafted. I can't think of it right now.
I don't know.
I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, you can have these butterbeer drinks and confections in many places. Although be warned, it is so sweet.
Yeah.
I only want the cup, you know. I have to kind of force myself to drink the drink. Anyway, moving on.
So they're partying in the Gryffindor common room.
And Ron gets to finally tell Harry about the kerfuffle, right? He says, I gave Malfoy a black eye, and Neville tried to take on Crabbe and Goyle single-handed. He's still out cold, but Madam Pomfrey says that he'll be all right.
But I mean, that was bound to be the case. Come on, poor Neville against Crabbe and Goyle. Crabbe and Goyle are good for nothing but being the muscle, because they're dumb as rocks and they're huge.
It's hilarious. All right. So then Harry's like, okay, who cares? I get that's great, wonderful, whatever, but get this. And then he tells him exactly what he saw in the forest. Pushing on Quirrell, right? And one of my favorite lines in this chapter. So when Hermione says, so you mean the stone's only safe as long as Quirrell stands up to Snape? And here goes Ron. It'll be gone.
It'll be gone by next Tuesday. I love Ron.
Yes, see so much of Ron in the books, right? Like here we can very seamlessly move in to book versus movie here.